Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see from the title, we have another Q&A episode. This is episode 3. If you guys are interested, you can watch back episode 1 and 2. So in these streams, basically you just shoot your questions and I answer them if I can. And if not, the people in the chat may be able to help answering your questions. So that's the point of these episodes. So yeah, I'm sure most of you know how this works at this point. I feel like we have a really good community of people who always, tune into the live stream. So I really appreciate that. Leo says we're locked in. I heard Eddie Salman is going to launch his own brand under the name Eddie Salman Arm. What do you think about that? Is it true? So I haven't heard about this, to be honest. So I'm not too sure. Like, I couldn't tell you. I haven't heard that at all, actually. So I don't actually know. But that would be interesting. I think most people have said that Eddie Salman needs to start his own brand. Those are the people, especially, that don't like his aesthetic. And they always say that, his aesthetic is so distinctive. Why does he always turn all the brands that he goes to the Eddie Salman world? Like Dior, Celine, Salon, Paris. So I think him starting his own brand is what most people, I think, would think is the best thing for everyone. Like, everyone wins in that case. I think that's what most people think. So yeah. Should I start learning about fashion by focusing on the history aspect of it? So, I mean, I started learning about fashion by focusing on the history aspect of it. But the thing is that I'm a big advocate of learning about fashion that you're interested in, rather than thinking you need to follow a specific direction or path in fashion. I think there's more longevity in you doing what you actually enjoy, rather than someone telling you the optimum way to learn about fashion is like this way and that way. You know what I mean? So I'm more a person that gives tips and tricks, but I also say that, what do you like the most when you learn about fashion? What interests you? Is it learning about designers? Is it learning about history? I think the best way to learn about fashion is just to start with what you find the most interesting. That's the best advice I can give, to be honest. You mentioned before your opinion on the models of today versus 90s, 80s models and the impact on fashion shows. Could you expand on your thoughts of today's models and their place in fashion? Oh, that's a really good question. I think my frustration in terms of models today is that they don't necessarily seem talented. Like, models before, yes, they were, beautiful, although I think that has changed. I think before you had to be conventionally beautiful, which is why there were some dodgy conversations being had. Like, the black models that used to get signed back then had to have very specific European features and stuff like that, which is really problematic. But outside of that, they could walk really well. It feels like they took their jobs more seriously. They were more committed. They really understood designers' visions. They were friends with designers. So there seemed to be a better collaborative effort between models and designers, whereas now, I feel like, and in the video I made, there was a good comment talking about the casting agencies, because now there are the casting agents in between these models and designers. So that relationship and that chemistry isn't built, and you can see that on the runway, because these brands just go to casting agents that cast a random set of models every season, unless the designer specifically wants one model to be on the runway or one of their friends. And nowadays, anyone goes on the runway, not just models, but like VIP customers or celebrities that are associated with the brand or friends of the designer and all that sort of stuff. So it just seems like overall, models being part of it, that fashion today is a bit more lackluster in every way. The imagery seems a bit uninspiring. I mean, look at that grey Vogue cover that came out not too long ago. Everything just seems a bit uninspired. It's almost like fashion as a whole, when you look at every corner, whether it's the quality of the garments or how well the models walk or how seriously the models take it, every aspect just seems to be going downhill. So that was kind of where the frustration started from. Wait, he just made a new Insta, so people already make stuff up. Oh, I didn't know that Eddie Samar made a new Insta. Could you tell me what it's called? I want to have a look, actually. I want to have a look. Also, Rachel, enjoy your vacation, by the way. My videos will always be online. I want you to have an amazing vacation. What do I think of Arse Pizza? I like Arse Pizza as a cultural figure, like what he represents culturally, especially in streetwear. But his brand itself, I've never really been a fan of it. I don't like get it. I don't know what is interested. Like when I look at brands, I always have to think what's different about your brand compared to other brands, or what's unique, or what story are you trying to tell. And when I look at all the products that Arse Pizza puts out, his brand gives me the vibe of someone that's just trying to hustle for money rather than really being passionate about making clothes in a sense of like really wanting to put something, um let me not say valuable, because I think most people make valuable things. That's maybe not the right word choice, but it seems like it's more like it's not really too much his passion. It seems like it's like a money grab type of thing. There's not a lot of thought going into the garments. Personally, that's how it seems to me. Thoughts of a Cold War post Samuel Ross. To be very honest with you, I haven't really been in tune or in touch with a Cold War since Samuel Ross left. I just haven't been that interested, because I'm interested in Samuel Ross. I want to know what Samuel Ross is doing. So if he's not at a Cold War, then I don't really have any interest anymore. So I'm going to follow what Samuel Ross the person is doing. How to judge the quality of a small brand from far away? If you don't live in a big city, I usually just purchase online and hope for the best. Yeah, I don't think it's actually possible to truly know the quality of something by, viewing it online or viewing it far away. Unfortunately, there are ways that you can try in terms of going on forums and seeing what people say. I wouldn't look at online reviews, because sometimes online reviews are a bit dodgy. Like people have certain incentives to give positive reviews, but if you go on like Reddit and you just type quality of so and so brand, what you're going to read is probably going to be the truth versus what you read on the website or articles by magazines that are probably, paid ads and all this type of stuff. So that's probably your best bet. Like go on all these forums where it's going to be genuine opinions. Let's see. It feels like Alex Consani got to this position because she's super loud and extroverted. I love her, but that's the impression she gives me. I think Alex like a really good model. I don't think it's because she's loud. I don't think so. Because her being loud has nothing to do with the imagery that we see. You know what I mean? And I think she's looks good in imagery. So I don't think it's because she's loud. I think maybe her personality is why she's famous, in terms of why she's so big on TikTok and stuff. That's definitely true. And that you can't negate that having a big audience helps you be more sellable, I guess, and a bigger catch to brands that are trying to push as much engagement as possible. So that's definitely part of it, to be honest. Can we consider Chrome Hearts high fashion or just a cult? I think Chrome Hearts is high fashion. I think how people adopt it is a totally other thing. And Chrome Hearts is not just clothing, right? It's anything. Like Chrome Hearts was making custom anything, a lot of jewelry and accessories. So I wouldn't just say it's like high fashion. It's like a high-end brand in total. But the way people have adopted it, some people in more crass ways than others, but I still think it's a high-end brand, to be honest. Rachel says, I'm honestly kind of over big luxury brands these days in terms of what you get for the price. So I want to try small brands. Yeah, that's good, because I think the big brands, they have gotten carried away a bit and they just think they can get away with anything. And I think the more we, protest with our wallets and our purses, the more these brands will be forced into a corner of doing the right thing and making good quality garments and stuff like that. Micah says, how do I submit to question and answer for the stream? Micah's always trolling. He commented in the chat and is asking, how does he submit a Q&A for the stream? Micah is always trolling. Oh my word, that's funny. What brand slash designer is up next for 2025 in your opinion? When you say designer, do you mean like completely unknown designer? Because up next, what does that mean, right? In terms of a designer that I think is going to become way bigger next year, I think Louise Trotter, because it seems like a lot of people still don't know who she is, and I feel like she might do something really interesting at Bottega. But then in terms of up next from like a really like emerging brand or emerging designer, I don't really know because it's hard to say if they're up next because they're not going to do. Most small brands aren't going to do anything in 1 year that's going to catapult them into stardom. So would that mean they are up next? I don't know. What's your favorite brand at the moment? Mine has been Bottega Veneta since the Daniel Lee era. That's interesting because I don't really buy a lot of clothing. And obviously, Andre Meister will always be historically my favorite brand, but it's not my favorite brand right now in terms of I wouldn't buy Andy right now. I literally went to that store 2 weeks ago in Antwerp, and the stuff there was not interesting at all. Like, at all. I'm trying to think, what's my favorite brand now? I have no idea. And because, yeah, I don't. And the clothing I do buy is not new clothing. Like, I bought a Dries Van Noten piece when I was in Antwerp, but it's from like 5 seasons ago. So it's not really new. So I don't really know, to be honest. I can just say I don't have a favorite brand. If anything, Ask Pizza's 730 printing and print has shown a lack of creative direction. Let's see. Do you consider Ralph Lauren as a brand worth discussion? They do pretty credible runway shows. Their sales have bucked the recent downward trend, and the alumnus have gone on to big brands, but no talk. I talk about Ralph Lauren sometimes. I mean, Ralph Lauren was really recently, popular and relevant because they did the uniforms for Team USA in the Olympics, and I used that as a chance to talk about Ralph Lauren. Actually, on my channel, I have a video. Let me see if I can show you. Let me see if I can put that on the screen. Yeah, so let me see. Yeah, so I have this video on YouTube, right? The history of Ralph Lauren. So I feel like I've kind of discussed Ralph Lauren, at least in the past. It's not like I think he's not worth discussing. I just think that Ralph Lauren is one of those brands that has a very classic look that won't deviate in any way. So there's nothing interesting I can add runway to runway, season to season about Ralph Lauren because it's kind of all the same. So it would be kind of boring if I kept saying the same points every single season. It would be really boring. But I do think that Ralph Lauren is very relevant. And I really like Purple Label. Micah says, I see post Sam Ross A Cold War the way Drake allegedly sees post Virgil LV. How does Drake allegedly see post Virgil LV? Interesting. How do we join the fashion archive? What is he talking? Micah's just here to troll. I don't even know what Micah's talking about. What is Micah talking about? Do you have any thoughts on the industry resorting back to extreme thinness on runways and away from the body positive movement? Yeah, I find it weird. Like, I posted a video about modeling not too long ago, and I remember some of the comments were around the fact that plus size models aren't real models and all that sort of stuff, which shocked me because in a fashion industry, when we say plus size models, I think people who everything in their mind is extreme, they might think a plus size model is someone that's a size 40 or something stupid like that. But in fashion, actually, what people call plus size models are models that are actually smaller than the average size of men and women. So most plus size models, especially the big ones, like the famous ones, are actually smaller than the average size in like the US or the UK, right? So I find it weird that models don't reflect how people actually look. Um, and also that people have decided that being crazy thin to the point where sometimes I've literally worked for brands and been on set where models have fainted because they've been malnourished because they have to, their modeling agencies, I don't know if they still do this by now because I feel like there'll be so much backlash if this still happened. But when I first started working in fashion, people from modeling agencies would measure the waists of their models and make sure that, I think some of them had like monthly check-ins, would make sure that their waists are a certain measurement. And some of the required measurements, these models literally did not eat. They were malnourished, like to the point where their health was literally at risk. And for some reason in fashion, we think that this is okay, or this is normal, or this is beauty. I don't get it personally. And I think it's kind of bad that we're going back to this extremely thin thing in fashion. I think it's really problematic, to be honest. I don't know why people always like extremes. Like, why do people always have to focus on the extremes? Let's see. Chrome Hearts products that I've seen end up in Japan are far more tasteful compared to what the US market seems to gravitate towards. But that's probably because, like, a lot of like rappers and NBA players just want like those chrome heart jeans with crosses all like embroidered all over it, and it's like looks kind of horrible. What is the discourse around Gosha's return to fashion as of now? Do people even care at this current point, or should he just call it quits? Doesn't Gosha have GR Uniforma? Like, let me see, because he was selling in Dover Street Market at one point, right? But as far as I know, this is Gosha Rubchinski's brand, right? GR Uniforma. Let me just mute that before this whole live gets shut down. But yeah, this is Gosha Rubchinski's brand. Shortly after Gosha Rubchinski closed down, he opened up GR Uniforma, and that's kind of been his brand that he's been running since. So I don't know that he ever really left fashion. I feel like he's always been around. Let me see if they have. Yeah, they've got Instagram too. Yeah, this is Gosha's thing, and they're doing collaborations with Adidas and all of that. So yeah, I think maybe people just didn't realize that the GR stands for Gosha Rubchinski. Someone said it was at the Andy store today, and same. The only thing I'm considering is a belt. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. You know, I don't know what's going on with that brand, to be honest. Ralph Lauren is a brand that has a very loyal following. That's a great way to stay in business. I totally agree. Yeah, plus size models are literally women with normal bodies, if not skinnier. Yeah, facts. Yeah, like a size 10. Let's see. I find it interesting how a lot of clothing that is advertised as gender neutral / inclusive just means it's gender neutral if you're thin. Yeah, I talk about this all the time. I like the idea of gender neutral in the sense that we're trying to say as a society that men and women can wear anything, which I definitely agree with, and I would always push. However, that thing kind of breaks down because someone like me, my shoulders are really broad, and a lot of guys have broader shoulders than women on average, right? A lot of women, their waists are smaller but their hips are bigger. So even if you try to make stuff gender neutral, so long as people aren't like ultra skinny, male and female bodies are going to be extremely different, to where it's actually really hard for something to be universally gender neutral, unless it's like some oversized jacket or just some wide trousers or something like that. But anything sculptural around the body, you have to be like crazy skinny, like 10% body fat, 9% body fat, for it to be gender neutral. So yeah, I kind of find it weird. I think sometimes we have really reductive conversations around gender neutral clothing, or some designers literally just make like a streetwear collection and call it gender neutral, and it's like, it is gender neutral, but why do you have to market it as that when it is just a hoodie and sweatpants? Like, it's kind of weird. I think there are things that are easier to market as gender neutral. than clothing because male and female bodies are so different on average. I think things like fragrances, there should be more of a push because it's a smell. That should be pushed as gender neutral, or like bags, accessories should be gender neutral because anyone can carry a bag, whether you're tall, big, small, it doesn't matter. Those are things that I think the gender neutral conversation is a bit more, it makes more sense. With the clothing, it just depends on what type of clothing it is, and it doesn't work for everything, to be honest. Let's see. Luke says, I don't think the point of modeling is to be representative, it's to be the model, i.e. the ideal slash aspiration. But who is aspiring to that? Like, maybe because I play sports, I've never wanted to be like runway models that I see on the runway, like ultra skinny. If I was as skinny as a runway model, when I play rugby or basketball, I would literally get folded into 10 pieces if I wasn't the size I am now. So who aspires to be ultra skinny though? Like, do people actually aspire to that? Because I know people always say this, like the goal of a model is to be aspirational, but who's aspiring to that? I don't find that stuff really aspirational. Like, as a guy, I don't want to be skinny. I want to actually be able to lift things. You know. Okay, Micah is saying that too. I think it's aspirational. I don't think that's a good thing. Okay, let me try and catch up to the chat. I feel like I'm really behind. I'm really, really behind. Let's see. Most people aspire to that. Really? So most people aspire to being like ultra skinny. That's really strange. I think there's nothing wrong with being skinny. I just personally don't aspire to it because I'm someone that has played sports my whole life, and it's not beneficial to be ultra skinny with the kind of sports that I've played my whole life. Like, my size is always an advantage. Like, when I play basketball, I barge people out the damn way. Or like when I used to play rugby, I used to smash people out the way. So if I was skinny, then then I wouldn't be able to do that. But I guess in fashion, everyone wants to be skinny because the goal is to fit into clothing, I guess. Like, fit into like smaller clothing. So people are really obsessed with being skinny. It's like the whole Karl Lagerfeld, Eddie Simon thing, right? But I don't know. I find it strange. I find the whole thing a bit strange. I don't know. I find it weird. Especially because a lot of like runway models, like the really big ones, are actually lower than a healthy weight. So why do you aspire to being unhealthy? Strange. Someone says anything over 20% body fat is not that healthy though. I think it depends on like your body type, but definitely like over 30%, like health wise, probably quite bad for you if you're like over 30% body fat. But that's not what we were talking about. We were talking about like models that aren't malnourished, like models somewhere in the middle, like models that are below the average size of like the average person, which is a healthy weight. We weren't talking about, people that are literally like 40% body fat. I missed your Shakira bars. What were your Shakira bars? Let's see. I kind of semi-aspire to be skinny, considering it's been the one trait people picked on me for. I find a lot of comfort in Eddie Simon's clothes solely because they cater to my body type. Interesting. I love food too much to be skinny. Yes, and being active, it helps to have some weight on you. Let's see. I used to, in the 2000s, it was the only type of body visible in media. Was literally bullied at elementary school because I was no model. Maybe it comes down to your like. I'm not like singling out you, by the way. I'm just saying that maybe what we aspire to comes down to how like we grew up. Because when I grew up, when I was in school, I was skinnier than I am now, but I was never like stick thin. And I guess no one cared because I just used to play sports. So no one cared. I had like an athletic build. So people are more like, well, he just plays sports, so that's what people that play sports look like. So it wasn't really like no one ever cared about the way I looked or my weight or ever commented on it, to be honest. All people used to talk about was, oh, like great game last week. That's what people used to say when I was growing up. So maybe it's down to like what has been said to you or like what your experience is when you grow up. But that's interesting though. Let's see. Misbehave says there's a whole trend on TikTok of guys wanting to fit into size 26/28 Japanese denim. That's so interesting. That do you know what's funny? Like that's so interesting. At the skinniest I've ever been, I think the smallest at the skinniest I've ever been in my whole life, and this was literally I'm talking like when I wasn't even an adult. So this is like I could never fit into stuff this size ever again because my body structure is bigger, like my skeleton is bigger. So maybe when I was like 14, 13, I used to fit into like waist size 34s. And I've not been able to fit into anything less than a 34 since I was like 13 or 14. So that's crazy. But then again, I'm like taller and bigger, but I always think of like size 26, like how tiny do you have to be to even, if I was like 5% body fat, I think the smallest waist size I'll be able to fit into would be a 34 or max a 32. To fit into like a 26 is unfathomable. Like how could you possibly fit into a 26? Damn, that's crazy. That's actually crazy. That's wild. Luke says, I think that a lot of designers genuinely believe that clothes naturally look better on slender frames. That's definitely part of it. I think that the thing that we used to say about models earlier on, like we used to say that models are like human hangers, like the really skinny models, because they don't have like a bum or necessarily big hips or necessarily big boobs. So everything just goes down flat. Like if you were to put clothing on a hanger, like there's nothing pushing it forwards or backwards. So people used to say that like clothing looks good on those models because it looks like a hanger. Like nothing is like moving. It looks flat, basically. But I don't know if I necessarily agree with that though. Like clothing looks good because it looks like it looks on a hanger. I don't know. I think it's easier for your clothing to look good on a model that's really skinny because then you have to account for less things. Because when people are not like ultra skinny, their actual like body proportions start to show. So some women are, let's say, top heavy or bottom heavy, and then it becomes harder for designers to like accommodate for those things, especially if they are like using grading and stuff like that. It doesn't work out that way. So it's not easy. I mean, I don't have all the answers. Let's see. Do you have any thoughts on London Fashion Week being dead compared to the other cities? Could it ever be replaced by newer places like Shanghai and Copenhagen? Also, I love your work and everything you do. Thank you very much, Leo. I don't think London Fashion Week is dead. I just think that London Fashion Week is never going to be on the level of Milan and Paris. And what I mean by that is in scale. And that has only been made worse by Brexit. So before Brexit, at least a few buyers, a few models, a few designers used to come to London. But what Brexit did, it almost made London Fashion Week obsolete because now it's not worthwhile people going through all the paperwork just to like come to the UK. Because remember, London Fashion Week, a lot of people had to come here on work visas, not just, on like some travel visa or something. And it's very difficult to get work visas for a lot of different people, depending on where they're coming from. So it's kind of fucked the whole London Fashion Week, to be honest. That's what Brexit did. And so London designers now, all of them have showrooms in Paris or Milan. All of them, immediately they show in Paris or Milan. Look at the likes of Martine Rose, Kiko Kostadinov, all these designers, they all show in Paris or Milan, which I don't blame them because the buyers aren't coming to London. The models aren't coming to London. The press isn't coming to London because it's too much hassle. So I think one of the big reasons for London Fashion Week being dead is more the government decisions than anything else. But I still don't think it's dead. I always enjoy London because it has all these low-key, up-and-coming emerging designers who will then go on to be the Grace Wells Bonners and the Craig Greens and the Kiko Kostadnovs and the A Cold Walls and the Martine Roses and all these kind of designers. So yeah, I think it just depends how you see it. Let's see. I think the aspiration being unnatural and unachievable is part of the ploy to make the model seem above the common world. That's a good point, though, Boaz. That's a good point. Ayo, do you know anything about declining services at luxury brands? When I used to shop luxury in the 2000s, everything I bought was tailored to me automatically. None of these kind of services now. Yeah, what happened to that? I remember quite a while ago, actually, when you used to go into luxury stores, there used to be someone in the back who could like just tailor things quickly or make quick alterations. And like if you had, you know, an issue with your fabric, maybe like a button came undone, you could walk into the store and they would take your garment to this person in the back and they would reattach the button. I don't see that anymore. Maybe that's just brands cutting corners as they have been since. Let's see. Where y'all living, man? I never experienced bullying because of the body towards me or others. I never saw it happening. I mean, I've definitely seen people get bullied for their body. I'm not going to say that. I grew up in London and Nigeria, like between London and Nigeria specifically. And in those two places, people definitely got shamed for their bodies. But I think it depends though. Because I feel like if you were bigger but you played sports, you weren't made fun of your body. But then if you didn't play sports, you kind of were. It's kind of strange. I think maybe because people see if your body is bigger, but you're using it for like to actually achieve a lot of success in something, then people see it as, oh, that's an advantage. Whereas if you don't, then you just used to get bullied for it. But then it's kind of weird because I think it depends where you are also. In the UK, I feel like when I was in London, people got bullied for not being skinny. When I was in Nigeria, people got bullied for not being skinny. Sorry, people got bullied for not being in the middle. So if you're too skinny, you got bullied. If you're too big, you're bullied in Nigeria. So you had to be in the middle somewhere. Because they have a lot of terms and phrases for people that are too skinny, which I won't use. Not that anyone would understand what I'm saying, but I think it depends where you live. But I definitely have seen people get bullied for their size. That's definitely a thing. Did you say I was a student athlete? I actually was though. Like in my secondary school, we had ties. So our school tie, like school uniform tie, was red. Then there was a grey tie, which was like an academic tie. Those are for the 3 smartest people in the year. And then there was a purple tie, which was the sports tie. And the only way you could get a sports tie is if you are on the football, basketball, and athletics team all at once. And there were only, I think, 4 of us in the school that had a sports tie. So, hey, I could say I was a student athlete. I was definitely a student athlete. Any guess as to who the next creative director for Margiela will be? Everyone is saying Glenn Martens. I have seen some other names pushed into the fold, but I won't really say. I don't want to over speculate, but people have been saying Glenn Martens. People treat you different when you lose weight, to be honest. You find out even people you thought had sense are fat phobic. Oh my god. Let's see. Sorry if I skip your questions, by the way. Keep asking them. It's just that I need to like stay up to date with the questions. So my bad if I don't keep up, by the way. The great thing about luxury used to be how everything was tailored to fit you. It doesn't really work like that now. Yeah. Wait, Dami says... See, if Dami can't even fit a 27, I've got no chance. A 26, sorry. I've got no chance. Isn't 32 average waist for men? Maybe it is, but I'm not the average size of a man. So I don't count. I'm like almost 6'3". That's not necessarily the average size. Let's see. I mean, that was not the idea on other periods on clothing. Great. Okay, let me catch up. Let me catch up to everyone else. Let's see. It doesn't help that a lot of fashion TikTok is obsessed with Japanese archive, which is a lot of smaller sizes. Fair enough. Fair enough. Have you? Yeah, Kiko did move his office to Paris. That goes back to the point that I was saying about London being dead, but it's not. It's more of a governmental Brexit thing than anything else. Have you bought any clothing this year? I've sold lots of my wardrobe. Oh, have I bought any clothing this year? What have I bought this year, clothing-wise? Yes. So I bought the Vivienne Westwood Palace collab. So a bomber jacket with the bonded straps, which you guys have seen. I got some socks from that collab too. I got some t-shirts from the Martine Rose Supreme collab. I got like an Andermeister waistcoat from the 2000s. And I think that's it. I'm trying to think, because we're almost at the end of the year. I really have to think about this. What else have I bought this year, clothing-wise? I feel like I've bought some footwear. Let me have a think. Yeah, I think that's it, to be honest. I don't think I've bought anything else. But like I've told you guys, I don't really buy a lot of clothing. I just buy a few pieces a year and keep those for years and years and years. And I've been building a wardrobe since I was like 18. So 10 years later, it's like you have enough clothing. So I don't really feel the need to like overconsume and buy loads and loads of clothing. What's your thoughts on general London/UK fashion? IT, Cortez, Osbat. I mean, that's more like streetwear London UK fashion, because that's one side of London fashion. The other side is, high-end designers that show at London Fashion Week and have showrooms in Paris, right? But the streetwear scene is kind of cool. I like Cortez. I really like Cortez. I think from a marketing standpoint, he's really smart, like Clint. I think he really knows what he's doing, and I think that he taps into very deep cultural things that all of us grew up on. And so I understand the nostalgia, like why he would do a collab and then do it on the 110s, do it on Air Max 95s. It makes sense. Or have a crossbar challenge, or have Air Hirachis. Those are the shoes that were really cool when I was in primary school in London. It makes sense. But I think it's a very London-centric thing. I think if you're not from London or you didn't grow up in London, I feel like it would be hard to understand a lot of the cultural references that Cortez has. And it's not just that you grew up in London. Like, if you grew up in Chelsea, you also wouldn't understand it either. But I am a fan of what he does, though. Osbat, I didn't know that was... Osbat is Osbat... What's his name? What's his name again? Micah would know. What's his name again? But, okay, I'm guessing that's whose brand Osbat is. Like, the smallish guy. What's his name again? I've totally forgotten, but Osbat is kind of cool too. Osbat is cool. Let's see. I think we're going back to black skinny jeans being the trend again. So many people want to be skinnier to not look silly on them. I mean, trends come and go. What goes around comes around. When I was younger, I used to wear those skin tight skinny jeans too. So I'm not really mad at it. And just because a trend is skinny jeans doesn't mean everyone is forced into wearing skinny jeans just because it's a trend. So I don't really have too much of an issue with the trend being skinny jeans. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. So yeah. Did we talk about Lucy and Luke Meyer going to Loewe once JW Anderson goes to Dior? Yeah, I've talked about that more on the Discord. If you guys aren't part of the Discord, definitely join the Discord. There should be a link in the description of the live. So if you follow my link tree, you should find a Discord link there and you can chat with us. But yeah, I did talk about that on the Discord. But if you want me to bring the conversation here, I can. Let me just load up Miss Tweed. Let's see, Miss Tweed. Okay, yeah, so for guys that aren't aware, this is kind of news from Miss Tweed, which is, Miss Tweed is kind of the person that, well, the platform, I'd say, that shares like all this like behind the scenes news that sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. But Miss Tweed, for the most part, is quite reliable. I mean, in the case of who was going to be the next creative director of Chanel, Miss Tweed was all over the place. Miss Tweed must have, suggested at least 10 names for the Chanel role. But Miss Tweed did post that Lucy and Luke Meyer are about to part ways with Jill Sander via industry sources, and they could be heading over to Loewe as the creative director role is vacant when Jonathan Anderson leaves to, take over Dior from Maria Grazia-Chiuri. So a lot of assumptions, a lot of rumors, but that's the latest rumor right now in fashion, for guys that weren't aware. Someone said, Critical Thinker said, I've seen body shaming by sales associates, not the smartest pocketbook move. Yeah, that's a bit silly. That's a bit strange. every skinny kid's worst fear is someone coming up to them and asking for their wrist. Oh my god, that's funny. I always thought Nigeria was more fat phobic. All my bigger relatives always get teased. Ikebi. Unjakuja, that's fine. So the thing about Nigeria is, I think culturally in Nigeria, and I can say this because I lived there for 6 years, in Nigeria, culturally, we just make fun of everyone for everything. It's kind of just baked into the culture. So if you're skinny, they call you like lekba. Like people say that, oh my God, like, are your parents not feeding you? Is your husband not feeding you? That's the kind of thing that Nigerians would say if you're too skinny. They'll just be on you. Like, you need to add more meat to your body. This is your body. There's no meat there. There's no, you're so skinny. That's what they'll say. And then if you're too big, they'll call you like, well, they'll say unjakuja. For people that don't know, unjakuja in my language just means like, when it means like bad things, like unhealthy things, but in the context of how people say it, it means to like eat unhealthy things all the time. So if they see you and you're big and you're eating something that isn't healthy, they'll be like, unjakuja. And it's kind of like body shaming, to be fair. I'm trying to think of what else they would call you, like orobo. Orobo in my language also means like fat person, like obese person, overweight person. And people say that all the time, like orobo, orobo. So I think it's both ways. Nigeria, that they don't, they have no prisoners in Nigeria. They make fun of everyone. Whatever is wrong with you, they'll make fun of it. It's just it's kind of baked into the culture. I don't know why it's like that, but it kind of just is like that. Really strange. Really, really strange. Question: within the luxury fashion world, what craft space are you most interested in right now? Craft space? What do you mean? Can you, Rachel, can you elaborate on that so I can truly understand the question? Let's see. Okay, this is the same question I answered earlier. Have you bought any clothing this year? Eddie Salmon is the reason for guys wanting to be skinny. Not necessarily Eddie Salmon, but I think for some people, yes. Especially people that like are into fashion and follow fashion a lot. Yes. Yes. Micah said, I'm capping. He was at my crib and hella clothes arrived. I don't know what he's talking about. Can you tell the chat what clothes these were then? I would like to know. Carl said you'd have to be very short or very, very narrow built to fit a 26. Let's see. Wait, Finn said no excuses. I don't sell and I keep buying. Finn, not all of us are, not all of us have the in ways with Dover Street Market and stuff like that. I don't have the connects, Finn, to get the really good prices. Although I will say, Finn, you did put me on to some like really good deals. So thank you very much, because you sent me a message not too long ago. So I appreciate you, Finn. Why do people in the chat saying that should John Galliano go to Burberry? That's not going to happen. That's definitely not going to happen. Oh my god. Have you watched JW Anderson with Fashion Neurosis? Yeah, yeah, I have. I have. I'm going to react to that on Patreon. I all the videos I find interesting from now on that I see, I just react to them on Patreon. I actually have a video dropping once I come off this live stream. I'm going to post it on Patreon actually. Honestly, I love the Nigerian. It's my favorite. That's funny. Other nations in the world partake in the teasing shenanigans. American don't do well with the jokes. That's how World Star was born. I think it's just a cultural thing. I do think that it's not to say that one culture is better or worse, but I think in Nigeria, people aren't sensitive because it's baked into the culture to be offensive. So like in Nigeria, you would say really offensive things and you would expect that the person doesn't take offense to it because by now they should be used to hearing things like that. Whereas, let's say, coming back to London, you cannot say stuff like that. People will be in tears and people report to you to like the authorities and you could get fired from jobs and stuff and you'll be labeled like a monster. But I just think it's just a cultural difference. I don't think one is better or worse than the other because I think if something is normalized in a culture, then people don't feel the same psychological effects of it. So a lot of Nigerians that have like grown up through that don't feel like, oh my God, I'm so traumatized because it's kind of normalized in society. So you don't feel like the way you're treated is different to other people, right? So yeah, it's interesting though, like the difference in culture and stuff. Nigerian Irish here, you got to be able to take it and give it. Yeah, facts. Facts. Luke says there are 500 plus people on the Discord who don't say anything. It's weird. Luke, you need to understand that it's kind of the live streams too. Most people don't comment. They just watch the live streams, which is fine because maybe some people just want to learn. Maybe they are a bit shy and they don't want to comment or put themselves out there, but they just want to learn from the discussions being had and stuff like that. You know, not everyone wants to, you know, put themselves in a pit of hell, especially when Luke is going to be like, that's trash. That's a bad take. Oh my God, full government name. Odunayo. Wow, it feels like my mom's calling my name. Odunayo, what are your thoughts on Iris Van Herpen? Should I give my thoughts on Iris Van Herpen? I feel like we've beaten a dead horse. I feel like we've talked about Iris Van Herpen before and it wasn't too positive. So I want to keep the positive vibes in the live stream for today. Rash Simmons created the fashion of today. Changed my mind. I strongly disagree. What are we? Who's the person that does that? The right wing guy that does the change my mind stuff. What's his name again? I've totally forgotten. But yeah, that's like Rash Simmons created the fashion of today. Changed my mind. Like sat on some table in some college campus like that. He'll be like, first of all, who's Rash Simmons? Absolutely, you can't hurt me because my family roast me on a daily basis. There's things I've heard and arguments, nothing can hurt me. Yeah, once again, I think it just depends on the culture that you're coming from. Like, cause like I literally grew up in Nigeria, so like I remember when I came back to the UK and I'll get in arguments with people and they'll try to say hurtful things, like, oh my God, like you have a big head, and I'm like waiting for like the joke to land, like. Is there more? Or is that all? Is that where we end? And then I would respond something back and then they'll end up crying. That's funny. Do you think the average person's opinion matters in fashion? Yes, because everyone participates in fashion, right? Everyone wears clothing. So by just the fact that everyone wears clothing, I think everyone has a valid opinion. It just depends on what we're talking about. In terms of what people like, what people prefer, I think everyone's opinion is valid. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to prefer things. Some people prefer skinny jeans, some people prefer wide trousers, some people prefer black garments, some people like loads of different colors. I think all of that is valid. I think where let's say the average person's opinion matters less in fashion is if they're trying to like give industry insights when they don't work in the industry. You know what I mean? Like, then their opinion would matter less. But in terms of like a general, I like this, I don't like this, I prefer this, I like this designer's work, I don't like this designer's work, I think all of that is valid. I definitely think all of that is valid. Let's see, hate to say it, but Off-White doesn't need a new creative director, it just needs to fizzle out genuinely. I kind of agree with you, to be honest. I think it's totally directionless now. I just think there's no gain from it continuing to go on other than just some company somewhere is making money. Yeah. And the way that they sold the brand and what day they sold it specifically was nasty work. That was disgusting work. I'm trying to do a capsule collection for Montclair. It's just a concept. I want to add my portfolio. It's mixing between the luxury outfits such as fur coats, etc., with lifestyle of ski on snow. Okay, that's interesting. Can you, if you know what my email is, you can find it if you look hard enough. I'll give you that task. Send me an email and I will give you feedback. If you like send me some of the stuff you're working on, I'll give you feedback. Guys, don't worry. Once I graduate from school, I'll come and save Off-White. Off-White is pointless now. Just stop it. It was going downhill when Virgil was here. I think actually it was going uphill when Virgil was here because the collections became more elaborate. The ideas became stronger. I think Virgil's best years creatively were his years at Louis Vuitton. I think he had some sensational collections at Louis Vuitton. I think kind of the framework of Louis Vuitton kind of helped him grow as a designer in general. And a lot of that came back to Off-White. Not as well as Louis Vuitton, but I think it came back to Off-White. And I think it was actually going uphill until he unfortunately passed. Let's see. I think I've incorrectly worded my question. What I mean is not if their opinion is valid. What I mean is that opinion felt or heard at all? I think it depends. So if the average fashion consumer doesn't have like a platform or an audience, then their opinion obviously isn't heard in that sense. But I feel like the average fashion consumer, their opinion is heard by their wallet. Because ultimately, if consumers don't buy stuff, brands are forced to do something different. It's just like Burberry is not doing well because consumers, for whatever reason, have decided they don't like Burberry anymore as much as they did. So Burberry is struggling financially, so they are forced into making changes. They changed their CEO. They changed their creative director. So I think, yeah, everyone has a very valid opinion in fashion, to be honest. I think their opinions are felt or heard. Just depends on what framework. Got to give it to Virgil. He worked and lived his full life until the very end. Most people would have given up on life so soon. Yeah, I find it absolutely insane how much he was doing and working creatively, considering his health condition. But also, I guess part of it could have been that knowing that unfortunately he was like not going to be around for much longer. He wanted to maximize his years on Earth, and I mean, you can only commend that, to be honest. Oh my God, people are having a go at Russ Simmons. Not them calling him Scrappy Simmons. Jeez. Oh my gosh. When do you think the luxury business will finally crash? There are only so many wealthy clients to sell cheaply made products to and labor markets to exploit. Yeah, exactly. And I always say this. I think the luxury market has trapped itself. I give it like 20 to 30 years and I think everything is going to like topple on itself. They've trapped themselves. They can't go back. The only way is forward until they literally can't go forward anymore. And the whole thing just crashes. and then they have to start from the beginning. And by then, the brands that have been more sustainable and have been growing sustainably will take their place. And then it might just be a cycle where then those brands get bought by billionaires and tycoons, and then they get watered down, and the circle of life. But what you have to do as a consumer, you have to catch that moment where the luxury system breaks down and the new brands are rising up before they're bought by business tycoons. That golden moment there, you need to buy all the clothing when it's high quality, and then just be the 50 and 60-year-old that was like, yeah, clothing is so bad these days. Like, I have like some archive this designer, and like it's way better. Like, clothing is just not the same like it was. I definitely want to be that 50-year-old for sure. Do you think that small local fashion brands and designers have any chance of really coming back? Some. It depends, but it's so hard to compete with these big brands these days because they just take up so much market share. It's really, really hard. You have to have backing, whether you're winning awards. You have to have people on your side. A lot of things have to happen for a brand to really work, because especially during COVID, so many brands went bust. So many. Big brands too. Let's see. Jacquemus will become a conglomerate brand like Michael Kors. Mark my words. Every time I read the word conglomerate now, I just think of text my man on WhatsApp. People that know that reference. I give it 2 to 3. Oh my God, Vontae. I give it 2 to 3 more years. A lot of these brands are staying afloat from perfumes, trinkets, and alcohol. I mean, it's true. But I don't. 2 to 3 years is soon. I don't think it's gonna happen that soon. I give them a good like 20 to 30 years, because I think they still have so much money. Like, it's kind of like, you know, all those tech companies that their whole business model is to lose money but then exit. So they're like burning through millions and millions and millions, and they're just hoping that they can exit before they run out of money. I feel like the luxury brands will get to that point. And for them to burn through all those billions would take years and years and years and years and years, even if the most incompetent person was at the helm of all these brands. So I don't even think they could burn through their billions in 3 years, to be honest. Even if like they made no money, they were just burning through their billions. It would be really difficult, to be honest. So yeah. It's how your emails start. odu.ojo. ... your email. Yes, you are correct. Oh my God, that's a dark question. If you could bring back one dead designer to design one collection, who would it be and why? Damn, that's like really dark. Oh my gosh. I would bring back Issey Miyake, because I'm a huge Issey Miyake fan, and I feel like because he was so revolutionary with textiles, I want to see what his proper solution would be to the whole leather conversation and like vegan leather. Like, if we gave him like a good amount of time to develop stuff and then make a whole, you know, collection on like synthetic leathers, that would be insane. I want to see what Issey Miyake could do. What's your opinion on Pharrell and LV so far? Do you feel his stint is to cycle out the Virgil toned ideas until someone sends LV in an entirely new direction? Or do you think this partnership will be a longer term thing? Oh my God. By the way, guys, you guys are asking some really good questions. Let me just put a Louis Vuitton runway show on the screen, like a Pharrell Williams Louis Vuitton runway show. But anyway, while I'm at it, what I will say is that I don't sometimes like the conclusions that Pharrell Williams comes to when it comes to a lot of his like runway shows and his collections. However, I do like what he does accessories wise. I think he makes really good accessories. I think that he has very much made men wear speedy bags, especially the kind of men that wouldn't wear speedy bags before. He's made speedy bags really, really, really relevant for a class of men that wouldn't consider wearing them before, and made them fun with all the different colors and stuff, and like all the other stuff that he's doing. So I think he's really good at designing accessories. I think he has some interesting ideas, and I think he knows the audience that he's designing for. But I don't necessarily like his ideas creatively. I don't like the conclusions that he comes to, but I still think that he's a net positive for Louis Vuitton. I don't know what their sales figures are in terms of specifically the menswear, but it seems like he's doing well. I keep talking about Damna, my bad, but I feel he's walking the fashion industry toward a suicide because of the ideology behind his clothes by selling sweatpants for $500. That's another conversation I can have. That's another long conversation. He said, "You ain't getting money, brother." Ew, what's that? Thank you so much for the donation, Janice. Why do you think fashion mags are failing? I'm hoping to bring the experiences of a magazine online and would love your thoughts. Oh, that's a really good question. So, I think, first of all, a lot of magazines don't really have anything interesting to say. And it's harder to sell a magazine when people can just read information online. So if there's nothing remotely interesting and your magazine isn't being backed by a massive company like Condé Nast, then you have no chance, really. It's not really going to last too long. And I also think that people try to scale their magazines too big. Like me personally, I have a magazine and I'm in no rush to, even though I think the first issue came out 3 or 4 years ago, I'm in no rush to make the next issue because I just want to really properly have something to say and have the resources to do it the right way. I think people rush it too much. People are like, yeah, we're going to push out an issue every 2 months, and it's like not sustainable. And then it starts to become really crappy. The imagery is really lackluster. So I think that's a big reason why magazines are failing. And then secondly, there just isn't really money in magazines like there was. There was a time when majority of advertisement spend was going towards magazines, like especially print magazines. Whereas nowadays, that spend is being shared between influencers and other content creators and, like magazines, and it's going all over the place. TikTokers, YouTubers, Instagrammers. So there's less of a pot available just for magazine marketing. So the money in it is less also. I still think that you can be successful doing a magazine. You just have to have a very modern way of doing your magazine. It has to be like an online version of it. It can't just all be print, and it's good that you're going for an online version. So I think, those are all the reasons why magazines don't really work. It's a mixture of there being less money and also the magazines actually not being that good. I remember when I first got into fashion, I learned about, not immediately, the first fashion magazine I ever read was definitely ID magazine. And that's why in my early fashion videos, you see like loads of ID magazines behind me if you go and watch like some of my first videos. But I started to learn about just different magazines. I got into magazines like Old Harper's Bazaar, The Face magazine, and it was so interesting. Like if you read The Face magazine, like in the 80s and the 90s, you learn about writers like Hanif Kureishi. And Hanif Kureishi wrote like the Pop Fable book, or like, he used to write about the Bromley contingent and stuff like that. You learn about the Bromley contingent. You learn about the punk movement and the Sex Pistols. Like, it was so interesting. And I felt like when I used to read magazines then, I really got like a wealth of knowledge. Whereas these days, magazines, I'm reading interviews with Kim Kardashian, and I hate to bring up Kim Kardashian all the time, but she's just the constant victim. But it's more because I don't find anything about Kim Kardashian interesting. So them constantly pushing her in magazines, it doesn't help because there's not many interesting things you can really say, right? And like pushing all these like things. And also when I used to read these magazines, there were adverts, but half of the magazine, they weren't adverts. Nowadays, you read a magazine, half of the book is adverts. And it's like, so did I pay for a catalogue of adverts for luxury brands, or did I pay for a fashion magazine? Like, which one did I do? So it's just the landscape is different. I think a lot of these magazines these days are so uninspired, which is why I was so excited when I read Beyond Noise. because Beyond Noise, and for guys that don't know, if you're new or whatever, Beyond Noise has quickly become one of my favorite new fashion magazines. I think, I'm not sure. Okay, so they have two issues now. So they just recently released their second issue, but this is the Instagram for Beyond Noise. But I absolutely love this magazine. I think it's so, so good. It's such a good magazine. It literally reminds me of the kind of magazine that I used to read when I first got into fashion. Like, I hope that the kids getting into fashion now find magazines like Beyond Noise and read Beyond Noise. I feel like that would get them, that would make them have the same passion that I did for fashion when I was younger. There's too many people wanting to launch their own brands and just create tracksuits with graphics. I guess the reason for that is because there's not much skill that's required to make sweatpants and graphics, because all you need to do is find a supplier and then make some quick ass logo on Photoshop, which anyone can do if you just watch a few YouTube tutorials. So I think the barrier to entry is really low. That's why a lot of people do that. It's way harder to actually make your own patterns, make something unique, do fabric development and research. You know, it's so hard to do that, right? So people don't do that because it's difficult and no one even knows how to do that or where you even start with that. How do you learn to make patterns? Like, people don't have a clue. So that's probably why. People don't like reading anymore. That's also part of it too. That's a good point. In terms of the death of magazines, in a sense. I think there are layers to the bubble burst because it will be mid-sized brands that will fail to secure further investments. Major brands have to exhaust vast amounts of resources before death. Very true. Which is why I was saying about them burning through billions and billions. It would take them long just to even do that. So they would be able to survive, where smaller brands, literally, so many brands are on edge. Like, so many fashion brands are in a situation where they have, let's say, 60 worldwide stockists right now. If they have a bad season, and for them, what a bad season would be is if 20 stockists drop them. So from 60, they have 40 stockists. That is enough to kill the brand completely. That is enough to end the brand. So a lot of these smaller mid-sized brands are literally on edge. Can we bring back the educated consumer post social media? It's really hard to do that, I think, because of how mainstream fashion is. Before, fashion was so niche that, and I think it's actually a good thing that more people are into fashion, but I think the drawback is that I guess people in general are less educated about fashion, because fashion, and when I say fashion, not fashion as a whole, everyone used to wear clothes, but high fashion, like runway fashion, like fashion as an art form, that kind of perspective on fashion was very, very niche. And so the kind of people that were into that, you kind of had to be knowledgeable, because you, how else would you be into it when it's so niche? So that's why it feels like, older consumers, people that got into fashion in the, before the massive social media burst of fashion, they tend to be more educated than the new generation. And that's not to say that people in the new generation aren't educated. This is more on average. But I don't think it's necessarily their fault, because it's no longer niche. So the barrier to entry is really low. Very, very low. So just is what it is. And then also everyone's a designer now, so that's also another thing. Culture said, I thought you would bring back McQueen. Nah, no. The only reason why I wouldn't bring back McQueen is in the manner that he passed. I don't know how that would, how that would go down. Let's see. Pharrell is showing us now LV been getting hits. A lot of these brands investors want the majority of the money with interest. Dion Lee had to shut down Golden Goose, pulled away from big brands. Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. You're talking about, a lot of those brands. Yeah, I see what you mean. Do you think Alessandro's couture debut for Valentino will be good? Yeah, I can see him doing really well. Girl said, what do men carry in speedy bags? A wallet and gum. That is actually funny. A wallet and gum in that massive bag. Well, Kroll, I will tell you that as a guy, I always carry big bags because I always feel like I just have things to carry even when I don't. I think it's just a mental thing. Or I always carry more than I need because I'm always like, what if this happens and what if that happens? So in my bag, I carry a battery pack and my camera because who knows, I might meet someone and I might need to film something or an interview. So I carry my camera with me even when 99.9% of the time I don't use it or need it. So I put my camera there and then I'm like, well, I have my camera there. So I need to have my camera charger in case my battery pack runs out because I'm a power outlet. And then I carry my hand cream because I'm black. I don't want my hands to be ashy. Then I need to carry my lip balm because I don't want ashy ass lips. I don't want dry ass lips. So then I need to carry that. And then if my hair is short like now, I have to carry my hairbrush. And then I have to carry a fragrance because you know what? I don't want to be caught lacking. And then before you know it, the bag is actually full. So actually, you'd be surprised. I carry a lot of things in my bag. I don't own a Speedy, but if I did, it would be packed all the time. Trust me. I'd find things to put in there. Let's see. It's all about influencers now. Also, sometimes magazines sell out too easily to advertisers and the content just becomes watered down. Yeah. This is also a good point. There's not enough menswear focused fashion magazines. This is very true. That's very true. I think because culturally, less people are interested in menswear as like a serious form of study or like a serious form of something to, you know, make magazines about and stuff. Let's see. I feel like I'm so behind. Let's try and catch up. Let's catch up. Let's catch up, guys. Let's see. Relying on screens for fashion and design seems both unhealthy and a weird way to represent visuals. Like, are we all looking at the same Pantone color of the year if our screen settings are different? That's a good point, actually. I have an issue with I find it really hard to concentrate on a screen. I don't know if that's like there's something wrong with me. So I have to read things physically. That's why people buy like, you know, people have like audiobooks or people buy ebooks and it works for them. But for me, I buy, if like something is not available other than an ebook, then I'll buy the ebook and then I'll print it so I can read it physically. I can't read it on a screen. And then if there's like a physical book version of the thing, I'm always going to get the physical version so I can actually like read pages rather than look at a screen. I can concentrate better. And I think also because I create content and I get like loads of emails, requests and like messages. So I think when I'm trying to read stuff on my screen, there's just things popping up on my screen all the time. It's so distracting. A message from here, Instagram notification. It's a bit all over the place. So I feel like I can settle and just focus in when it's just text. And that's why I have like even my personal library and stuff. That's a big reason why. Okay, I feel like OGT, I kind of answered this without even meaning to when I was talking about all the things that I carry in my bag. You said fashion is an art form. My eye started twitching like a crazy person. I mean, I even cringed when I said it. I even cringed when I said it, literally. Let's see. If the information had been spread just as fast as the interest in being fashionable and popular, the quality downfall wouldn't be so drastic. Yeah, that's a really good point. That's such a good point also. Because when I first got into fashion, which obviously I was born, let me not say in the social media age, but I grew up in the social media. I remember people started using Facebook when I was in primary school, just about to go into secondary school, and I was like 9, 10 years old. So I wasn't born into it, but I kind of grew up with it slightly. But I feel like the early time when I first got into fashion, like social media wasn't big. It was more like Tumblr days when I really started really getting into fashion, and things happened so slowly. I feel like fashion news was so slow. Like you had so much time to take in fashion news. Like something would happen and you would read what Susie Menkes has to say. You would read what Tim Blanks had to say. You would, later on you would watch the style.com review on style.com on their website. It was so slow. Like you could just take in all the information. And I feel like now the pace is insane. Like I stream, obviously next year, my New Year's resolution is to stream more consistently, but I feel like I stream semi-consistently now. And every few days, there's already like a new what's trending in fashion. Like it doesn't stop. It doesn't end. It doesn't slow down. So I think that's also something that's hindering people, I guess, in terms of understanding, because it's so fast. People just read headlines and think that they know about things because they read a headline. They didn't read any articles. They didn't seek any of the information. They're not in forums where they're discussing these things. So yeah, I do think that the pace of the way that fashion information is proliferated is really out of hand, actually. Let's see, fashion today is not in the high-end fashion brands like it was 5 to 10 years ago. There's more emphasis on the individual to style with thrifted. And it's good because people are expressing themselves. Yeah, that's also good too. That's good. I just put water in. So that's also something I put in my bag, right? I also put water because you never know where you are. You could be stranded in a desert. No, I'm joking. I get thirsty easily. So I drink a lot of water throughout the day. Like I always have water everywhere I go. Like even now, look at me. I have a bottle of water right beside me just in case. And my mouth might get really dry. Who knows? Do you recommend any books on fashion business? Send me a message on Instagram and I'll give you some recommendations. Would you say the rose pricing is commensurate with its quality? I guess in the sense that sometimes, let me just say sometimes, because I think the row, not everything that they make is good quality. I have seen some issues with the quality of some of their garments, but I think for the most part, I'm okay, or I don't have any issues with the row being expensive, even if it's immensely overpriced. You're basically buying a lifestyle, not necessarily the fact that the garment is, expensive to make. But a lot of their garments are actually expensive to make, like really expensive, some of them. And I know this because more and more, the roles that I work in behind the scenes in the industry are more like working with people that work in production, and I'm getting more involved with stuff like that. So I'm really starting to understand like the price of what it takes to produce a certain thing with a certain fabric and certain ways. And some of the stuff that the row produces, like, damn, even to make that stuff is really expensive. So I think the row gets away with it. Like I give the row a pass for some of their prices, even though not every time is it worth it. I mean, it's never really worth it because it is kind of immensely overpriced, but in the sense that at least you're getting a good product if you're paying all that money. Are you slayed with the what's in my bag? Micah says, I can confirm that in my Speedy I only put gum, not even a wallet. Yeah, but Micah, you're kind of weird because you want your Speedy to be a certain shape, I feel like, when you wear it, which is why you don't put a lot of things in your Speedy. I feel like that's why you do that. But correct me if I'm wrong, though. Ayo carries every day in a Thomas book in his tote bag. Oh my word. Tosin says, one question I have, do you think this designer merry-go-round is the new norm or a transition phase between the next era of long-term creative directors? I think it's more of a transition phase, to be honest, because I think that all these designers that go into different houses, I expect some of them to be there for a long time. Like I expect Matteo Blasi to be at Chanel for a very long time. I expect Louise Trotter to be at Bottega for quite a while. Like Veronica Leone should be at, Calvin Klein for a while. I think Claire White Keller, it seems like she's going to be at Uniqlo for a while. Like she has plans of changing the everyday clothing at Uniqlo, right? I think Sarah Burton is going to be at Givenchy for a while. Like all of those appointments, I can't see any of them leaving after like 1 or 2 years. What other merry-go-round have we had, guys? Remind me. But for the most part, I think all those appointments, like even the new designer at Dries Van Noten, for example, Julian, even like Matthew Ryder at Celine, like I think all these guys, they're all gonna be there for a while. I think they're all gonna be there for a while. I think it's more of a transition phase, to be fair, than like this merry-go-round is going to constantly happen. Fashion will be peak when AI takes non-creative jobs, ends capitalism, and we live in a socialist paradise. One can only dream. What bag do I carry? I think it depends on the day. So I carry my tote bag, for my magazine. Like I have tote bags for my magazine. And I have loads of those, by the way, because I like to give them to people that I meet who like follow the channel. So if I meet someone on the street and I have one of those bags on me, I'll like take the stuff out of my bag and give it to the person. So I carry those tote bags a lot. I carry, I have a bag from Helliot and Mill that I carry a lot. It's kind of like a strap crossbody. I have this like Erykah Badu tote bag that I carry everywhere. Some of you might have seen it if you follow me on Instagram. What other bags do I carry? I don't really have too many bags, to be honest. Yeah, I don't really have too many bags. Sometimes I just carry around like a rucksack. If I don't care about being fashionable and I'm trying to be practical, I just carry it on my back. Yeah, but I don't really have too many yeah, like bags. Let's see. A lot of people have been learning about fabrics and tailoring like the older generations and not spending a lot of money on plain cheap quality from fashion brands. People rather buy quite luxury and mix. Oh, I have a hot take about this, right? So my hot take is that the reason, like the rationale for a lot of people buying high quality clothing because of quite luxury, they're not buying it because they know what high quality is. They're buying it because they're trying to cosplay the upper class or what they think the upper class does or what they think the upper class represents. So it's more of a thing of, the upper class. I learnt one time in Succession that the upper class, they don't wear Burberry and they wear Xenia and they wear all these kind of brands, and so those are the brands I'm going to buy just because it's kind of like quite luxury. But I don't think that many people know about quality, because in real life when I talk to people about like garment quality and fabrics and tell them, oh, why don't you get this or that, most if not all people don't have a clue what I'm talking about, apart from my friends that work in fashion. So I don't necessarily think the younger generation is that well educated on like garment quality and stuff. I think they have very strange reasonings for why they buy into those brands. This is more of a question for Micah. I feel like Micah has a way better bag collection than me. I'm kind of boring when it comes to bags. I'm really, really boring in that sense. Yes, this is another point. Yeah, I think Heider Ackerman is going to be at Tom Ford for a while too. So that's what I mean. I think a lot of these recent appointments aren't... Yeah, I don't see how they could end up bad or like designers leave all of a sudden. Thanks for introducing me to the Dries Van Noten fragrances. I tried all 14 smells. The one you think is the most generic is second place after Raving Rose. Interesting. And that's the really interesting thing about fragrances, right? Because like I always say, fragrances are so individual. So I always say people just go and smell the fragrance for yourself, because what I like, you might not. And then what I don't like, you might really love. So that's really interesting though, that the one I found, because the one I found really generic was the greeny one. What's it called again? The one with the green and white bottle. The urbans want tote bags. The urban. Maybe I should do like a Christmas giveaway for the tote bags. I might do a Christmas giveaway. Who we'll see, we'll see. We'll see. Exclusive urban tote bags. People be like, why does your tote bag have urban spelt wrong? Why is urban spelt wrong on your tote bag? The thing is, if I made like a capsule collection that was around this idea of like the urbans, I couldn't bring myself to make really cheaply, terribly made like merch. So then it would just end up being a fashion collection, which isn't really the point, because if I make it like that and it's too well made, then it's too expensive and then no one can afford it. And then what's the point of that? Like bringing clothes into the world that have no meaning, or like have no, like if people can't buy it, then what's the point? Like you're just adding waste into the world. Okay, let me catch up. I feel like I'm behind. Sorry if I skip your questions, by the way. Al says, regular people cosplaying the rich is not a hot take at all. It's been that way. Was watching a video about furs yesterday, and the rich stopped wearing mink because it became affordable. That's such a maybe because I'm not rich, but like, why would you stop wearing something because it's more affordable to others? Like, if you like it, you like it, whether other people can afford it or not. That's so strange. That's such a strange way to just think in life, to just be in life. Like, your life is predicated around other people not having things. That is so weird. I would just care about what I like and do what I like and not care about what other people are doing or not doing. That's such a strange way to live your life. Really, really strange. Let's see. But your rock on the Mer is just as wonderful as well, but not my taste. Yeah, because it's very incensey. So it's very hit or miss. Like, not everyone really loves it, to be honest. To be honest. Mink is affordable. Man, I want to be affordable. Maybe it's some psychology when little brother starts to copy you, would be my guess. That's crazy though. Like rich people looking at us peasants like they're little brothers. You peasants. Here's a donation to the Hard ER Urban Tote Bags Fund. That's funny. People that have been following the streams would understand that reference. The hard ER, the urban with the hard ER. It's very urban sensibilities. It's very urban. 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 The price dropped from like 10k to £500. So they started wearing coloured furs a la Fendi and kept up with seasons to prove their worth to other wealthy folk. Was a great video. That's so interesting. Like, if I just don't get that, man. Like, I just thought, like, if you have money, that should just mean that, like, you have less stresses in life, one, and then, like, you're not like, oh my God, like, you're not in debt, you're not stressed out, you're not wondering where am I going to eat tomorrow, that kind of stuff. So your life is at ease, and then you can just follow your passions. So why is everything like, oh, those people are wearing it, we can't wear that, we do it, like, you should be focusing on your passions and what you like rather than caring so much about, oh my God, is it affordable now? Is it affordable? Okay, let's stop wearing this, guys. The peasants are wearing it. The peasants are wearing it. Okay, guys. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's too affordable now. Let's stop doing that. It's so weird. Like, people just need to learn to live their lives. Like, I don't see how there could be, you could live in a very fulfilled way, always worrying about signaling wealth and, not doing what poorer people than you do. It's just weird. I just find that so strange. There's a trend of what's classy if you're rich, but trashy if you're poor videos. Damn. I haven't hit that side of the internet yet. Thank goodness. Luke said, rich people are mean. A guy at my uni burned a £20 note in front of a homeless man. Wait, what? Why would you do... Let me get back into my Zen mode. He burned a £20 note in front of a... Like, what is the point of that? Why would you do that? Yeah. No words. No words, no words. No words. Yet most peasants have better fashion sense and actual style. That's true there. Us peasants. Us peasants. Imani, stop pocket watching Leo. Luke said, yeah, he was at Pembroke College. It made the news. Oh my god, I'm not surprised it made the news. How can you go to a homeless man and burn a 20? Like, why would you do that? What is wrong with people? Seriously, why would you do that? Just to be like, haha, I have what you can't have, but I'm not going to give it to you where you could actually make use of it and maybe eat for tomorrow. I'm just going to burn it just to prove to you that you're a peasant and I have what you can never have. Like, what is that about? People are really like, I always wonder, like, when people do stuff like that, like, I like to think of psychology a lot. So I always have to think of, like, how were you raised? How did we get to this point where you're such a bad person that you're burning £20 notes in front of homeless? Like, how do we get there? Like, I always have to think of, how are you raised? Who are you around? Who are your influences in life? Is this how your parents behave? Like, I start thinking about stuff like that. This is funny as hell, by the way. Now you have to pay 2K to John Alexander Skelton to wear peasant drip. That's funny. Why do we still talk about high-end fashion brands when they have barely any impact on fashion today? I don't think that's true. I think they have a lot of impact, to be honest. If you think of like the Zara's and the H&M's and stuff, they are very much still on standby to see what the trends are in high fashion, and then they copy everything. They're literally on standby. That's why if you go to Zara now, they have their version of the Alexander McQueen sneakers, and they have their version, like every single brand that has a product that sells, they copy it. So I do think it's very much relevant, and I think there's a pop cultural relevance because a lot of celebrities are associated with these brands. So that becomes a big conversation point. I also think that my interest in high-end brands comes from the fact that they have so many resources, so they can try out so many different like design techniques and stuff. So that's what really interests me with those brands also. Wait, Skims got a 0 out of 150 from the Fashion Accountability Reports for cancerous materials and bad work environment. It did worse than Shein, not messing with any brand associated with Kim Kardashian. Oh my god. 0 out of 150. I mean, I'm not surprised, but goodness gracious, that's insane. Why are you making fun of the British accent? H&M, that's what it's called. H&M by Heron Preston. Y'all gotta stay woke. Oh my gosh. And do you know what's funny? Let me show you guys something. I was thinking to myself, do I cover this in like a what's trending in fashion live stream? But I decided not to. But let me just show you guys something funny. Let me just show you guys, because I was like, let me not cover it, because I want to have balance in my streams. I want to be positive and negative at the same time. I don't just want like one stream to be completely negative. But let's go on Skims Instagram page quickly. So this Skims North Face collab, I was looking at the silhouettes because I was like, okay, this is the Skims North Face collab. Like, what have they done to make it interesting? Do you know that these, like this black North Face jacket outside of the embroidery of Skims, looks like the kind of North Face jacket that you find in an outlet. Like it looks like one of the like cheaper lines of the North Face, like the plain jackets, not too much padding, the cheaper ones, and then they just embroidered Skims on it. Like they had stuff in a warehouse that they couldn't sell, and then they're just like, let's do a collab. Let's do the Yeezy season. Was it Yeezy season 1 that had that color palette? Let me Google it 1 second. Kim Kardashian really can't get away from copying Kanye West's ideas. Crazy. Let me see. Was it Yeezy season 1? Yeah, exactly. It was this color palette here. She basically jacked Kanye West Yeezy season color palette. This exact color palette here. So they found the garments that were that color palette, and then they were like, yes, let's embroider some like Skims on it and call it a day. That is literally going to go down as one of the worst collabs in my mind of the year. Like, what the hell was that? It was so bad. So bad. Wait, let's see. People are now realizing the Skim stuff is early Yeezy season 312, I think, and the team was given by Ye to Kim. I didn't know people were unaware of the transference of stuff. Yeah, I think people don't actually know, to be fair. I think people don't actually know. You know what gets me tight? Brands will save colorways for collabs only, even if they're pretty basic. Yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird. But I don't... Because with a collaboration, you're supposed to add something, right? At least that's my opinion. So I don't understand what the point of the collaboration is. If I could just get this jacket in a North Face outlet without the Skims embroidered onto it. I don't... Like, what exactly is the point of it? Like, there's absolutely nothing interesting, innovative, or just anything about this collaboration other than the name itself. Like, other than the name. So I don't know why they even released it, to be fair. So shout out to Kim Kardashian with Skims in the 0 out of 150 score. That's crazy. Multiple fashion reports have been saying how Amazon clothing is made better than Skims with less chemicals. Oh my gosh, that's a big that's a big shame. That's a massive shame. Said, and they have billionaire investment. But that's the thing. I think a lot of these brands, like, because Kim Kardashian, once again, she's not a designer. She's a businesswoman, business mogul, entrepreneur, influential A-list celebrity type person. So she don't really know much about clothes, like fabric quality, fabric. She doesn't know anything about that. So to her, it's more like, I feel like base layers, like women need base layers. So she just makes base layers, and it's like, okay, what's the cheapest way we can make it, and how can we make the maximum profit? That's, to me, how she's running her brand. And then good marketing. Because I think, for all the things I say about Kim Kardashian, I think she's really good at marketing. Like, the influencers she chooses, and that's not necessarily her, it's her and her team, but like the influencers they choose, who they work with, who they partner with, the people that endorse the brand. I think they do a really good job on the marketing front, but there's no product that Kim Kardashian can make that I'm personally going to take seriously. Kim Kardashian making toxic products is basically what I expected from her. Exactly. Same here. So there's no surprises there. Like, I'm not surprised at all. I don't think any brand serious is connected with Kim Kardashian and Jenner's with modeling or them at fashion shows. Damn. So you basically just said Balenciaga is not a serious brand. Damn. Damn. You literally just said that Balenciaga is not a serious brand. That's insane. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. First, it was, why are you always shouting out random things, Dammy? Like, now everyday shout outs are a canon event. Fair enough, Dammy. You are the innovator. You are the early. I'm an early adopter. You're an innovator. No Dem nor Balenci talk tonight. Please, I can't deal with it. We've done enough Dem Dem. Is that what we're calling him now? Dem Dem. Is that our name for Demna? Crazy, crazy, crazy. Demna's the only important designer right now. Damn. Must be trolling. Um, any more questions, by the way, guys? We've still got 20 minutes. I try to keep these streams, these Q&A streams, less than 2 hours, and I've been on stream for 1 hour 40 minutes. So, any more questions, guys? Any more questions? There will be more question and answer episodes anyway. But let me know if you have any more questions before I take my leave and I post this video on Patreon. And by the way, guys, that because Patreon, it takes so long for the videos to process, they need to work on their platform. But the video that I'm posting on Patreon in a few minutes, I guess, is already posted on the channel memberships. So if you're a channel member, definitely check out that video. You might as well do a Kiko stream. Like I said, I am next year. So this year, let me actually tell you guys this actually. So people are wondering why I changed my content style in terms of why do I stream more and why do I make less dedicated videos. And there's no reason other than I just enjoy streaming more. I enjoy like the interaction side of things. And because I've decided I'm more of a streamer, to be a streamer, you have to stream more consistently. So next year, especially during Fashion Week, I want to be way more consistent with the streams. Like when it's Fashion Week, do 2 streams so I can review the shows. Not immediately, because I don't like reviewing shows immediately, because I feel like more information comes out. I can ask people that worked on the collection about the collection. But I mean, in and around Fashion Week, I can review some of the shows, but I won't be like the day it comes out reviewing it. No, I don't even think that's beneficial, because I think you have to actually wait for more information to come out, for my friends to go to the resees, or let's say I get invited to a resee, actually take in the clothing properly. The interviews that the designers do that are long form with like Vogue and stuff will come out. So yeah, but I'm definitely going to do like a Kiko stream for sure. And there'll be more streams from more like emerging designers that I really love. It won't just be, like the bigger brands, even though I don't only focus on the bigger brands anyway. Let's see. Do you have a current idea for your next manga shoot? Yeah, I literally have all the, let me see if I can show you on my phone. I have all my ideas for my magazine. It's just that it's more of like a timing thing. I just feel like there needs to be like a timing. So my first idea, and by the way, if you guys want to copy my idea, it's fine, because you're never going to do it like me. So I don't have an issue telling people my ideas. But my idea has always been to do like 2 magazines a year. When I do relaunch it, it'll be 2 magazines a year. So 1 like issue and 1 location-based issue. So what that looks like is I've already launched issue 1. So the next magazine will be issue 2. And then there'll be like a New York issue where the whole magazine is going to like creative communities in New York, designers in New York, journalists in New York, photographers in New York, like just focused on New York. But it won't be New York, because New York is like too obvious. It'll be something like the Fashion Archive. Where's an area that's interesting but hasn't been covered? Like I still want to do like the Fashion Archive Istanbul. That's one that I really want to do. So like the Fashion Archive Istanbul edition, location-based issue, where I go to Istanbul for like a month and interview people and do photo shoots there and really uncover the creative scene through the magazine. That's the idea I have. And then for the issue itself, it's more like creators and designers I find interesting. I compile that into that issue, and I have literally 30 article ideas for the next magazine. So I think it's more of like a just the right timing sort of thing. But if I wanted to start on the magazine today, I could. I just think the timing isn't right. Let's see. Wait, your take on, are we getting more Eddie, or is it a wrap for the next few years? Nah, I feel like he's gonna get a job maybe next year. I feel like next year. Do you have any opinions on current big modeling agencies like Storm Elite, Models One, and Premiere? No, because I'm not a model. I think models would have stronger opinions on this, but they couldn't say because they're models, so they'll kind of get cancelled or blacklisted if they say anything negative about a major modeling agency. But I can only speak from the perspective of someone that has worked with these modeling agencies to hire talent for shoots. But I can't really speak on like what happens behind the scenes of models that work there and stuff. So I don't really have much to say on that, to be honest. New Year's resolutions. Be more consistent on YouTube and stream more. That's my resolution. I actually want to be like a, I don't know why, but every time I look, because obviously I stream more, so I've started to like look at people that stream and study like their audience and what they do and like how does this whole thing work. And I've been even watching a lot of the big streamers like DJ Academics and Kai Cenat and like even Penguin and like everyone. Um, and none of them talk about fashion. There is literally no like big fashion streamer. There are like people that stream about fashion. I think there's a few of us like Jacob and me, and maybe it's actually only the two of us that stream consistently. So no one really It's so untapped, and I feel like streaming is becoming a big thing. It's only a matter of time, and if I can be the person that really is the only main fashion streamer that streams almost daily, then I'm the only fashion streamer that streams almost daily. So that's kind of like my New Year's resolution. I need to take streaming more seriously. You should meet with new designers. Oh, I do meet with new designers all the time. I just met with one last week, actually. Um, I should interview them more, but some of them are still developing their ideas, and I don't want to interview them when they're unsure because it's not fair on them. Like, I don't want them to come across unsure behind the camera, right? So that's why sometimes I don't really interview them. But I do like let me show you guys a video to watch actually. Let me just type that and show you guys on the screen. Because I want to show you guys, I made this video on Arthur Boyd, which was really, really cool. Yeah, so this is the video. If you guys are interested, it came out 10 months ago. It came out during London Fashion Week. It's titled The Best Show at London Fashion Week, Arthur Boyd. I interviewed an emerging designer from London called Arthur Boyd. Really cool guy. Really love his work. So if you guys are interested, definitely check out that video. Because that's an example of like, I do these things from time to time. I think sometimes they might go a bit unnoticed. Also, let me get this Skims off my screen. Sorry. We can put Beyond Noise on the screen because, geez, it's giving me a headache just looking at it. All the toxic chemicals seeping out of the screen, burning my skin. He said, chill, move with silence, don't give out your game. I don't mind, because even if someone steals it, like, you need to understand, I have so much confidence that even if I tell people all my ideas in my magazine, if people tried to copy me, they would flop, because all you need to do is read Vogue, like a print edition of Vogue, and read how bad the writing is and how horrible the articles are, or read like most of the mainstream magazines, right? I am not even worried at all. They can steal the idea a million times. It still won't be as good. Like they might sell more issues, and I don't mind, because whatever they do, they're going to sell more than me because they have a massive machine behind them. So I'm not actually concerned. I make my magazine specifically for my very small audience. So that has absolutely nothing to do with the bigwigs. Like, I actually don't care. So that's why I can like give out free game and I don't actually mind. Like, at all. A Vogue intern just took a bunch of notes and is about to destroy your whole idea. Oh God. Luke wants me to address Jacob. I'm not gonna. Not today. I don't know. I'm not in a messy mood today. I'm not in a messy mood. I'm not in a messy mood. I never see I or hate this much. Oh, Elle says, oh, you watched the video. I'm glad you watched the video, by the way. Let's see. Let me catch up. The guy stay in the Christmas spirit. That's crazy what he did. I don't want to start like fashion YouTube beefs. But basically, what he wanted me to address is there's a certain YouTuber, and by the way, just coming out and saying, I have no issues with any fashion YouTuber, me personally, because I think that fashion YouTube, we're all in this together as content creators, whether I agree with someone's opinion or not. I don't think anyone agrees with all of my opinions because I don't agree with everyone's opinions. I think that's human nature. We all have our ways of thinking. And so I'm always supportive of anyone that makes fashion content on the platform, whether that's Fashion Lover 4 or Bliss Foster or Tuba Avalon or Dolce Jeans, anyone who makes fashion content. However, there's this one content creator that decided to single me and Mary's Room out and start being really bitchy and mean for no reason and being bitchy about our content and just saying unnecessary things and almost veered into being racist also and sexist, because Mary's Room is obviously a woman, like was veering into being sexist and racist. I don't think they realized it, but if you actually watch what they said, they literally said sexist and racist things. And this is someone that claims that they care about women's rights, but you're literally knocking down and tearing down a female creator, and you say you care about diversity and all this stuff, but you are literally damn near being racist to me by trying to, denounce my content or saying that my content is bad or whatever. So yeah, that's the only one content creator that I can't take seriously because of that stuff. Like, if you feel the need to bash and single out other content creators to bring yourself up, it means that you have there's something wrong with you mentally, and it means that you clearly don't think that your content is that good, because you wouldn't feel the need to start specifically singling out certain content creators and saying, I'm better than these specific people. It's really weird. So that's all I have to say about that. That's all I have to say about that person. Really strange person. Like, fashion is supposed to be a community, especially this fashion YouTube scene, because so few of us make these kind of videos, right? It's like me, Bliss Foster, Mary's Room, like that, talk about fashion news and analyze it. Like me, Bliss Foster, Mary's Room, Tuba, Fashion Lover 4 if he's around, Dolce Jeans. It's like a very small and closed circle, like Hortland Mode does too. It's like a very small closed circle. So I just found it really weird to try and be like, I'm better than all these people, and single people out and all that sort of stuff. Like, just completely unprovoked, using words like calling us ratchet, and which is where I said the racism was seeping in, like calling us ratchet and all those kind of things. Insane. Making fun of the way that I pronounce things, even though this person doesn't pronounce everything correctly. Insane stuff, like insane stuff. A lot of people obviously sent me the video and the clip. It was insane. But I was just like, yeah, this person has issues. This is supposed to be like a positive communal vibe. We're here to talk about fashion and to critique fashion and to talk about the business of fashion, to talk about the work of designers. We're not here to start creating beasts with other creators and calling other creators ratchet and, you know, being sexist and racist to other creators. That's not why I'm on fashion YouTube. That's not the kind of fashion YouTube space that I'm trying to be a part of, to be honest. So that's all I have to say about that. But anyway, who else has a question? But that's me addressing that. If you guys want to know who it is, I guess you people will say in the chat, and you guys can go and watch that video if you want to see what was said. So there you go. But if you guys want to watch the video, it's up on the internet. You can see what he said. If you're in the Discord, Luke will tell you where exactly you can find the video and what the timestamps are. So yeah. Leah says we're good, we ain't watching it. No, I mean, what I mean is you can watch it to see exactly what was said, to see what I'm talking about is why you would watch it. Luke is messy. Luke said, I'm being threatened. Why are you quoting this person? But it's funny that, like, and I think sometimes that's why, what's that phrase where they say that when you allow someone to speak long enough, they reveal the kind of person they are? There's no point being like, oh my God, I respect women and I care about women so much and I defend all women and all this stuff. And then you literally call a female content creator ratchet and you start like pretending to be her and be bitchy about her and you're being sexist, and you call a black man ratchet and you're being racist. So everything you say holds no weight and it has no meaning. Like, yeah, diversity, protect all women, like protect all women. Like, you clearly don't protect all women because you were being bitchy and sassy about a female content creator. So it's funny, like people literally say things on the internet and then you see their actions and you see that it doesn't tally and it doesn't align with what they say. It's very funny. You just need to allow people to speak long enough and then they start telling on themselves. What do you think about all the creative directors moving to brands? Matteo Blasi to Chanel, Trotter to Bottega. Someone asked about this earlier. So I think it's very much like a changing of the guard, I feel like, from like kind of like the old guard-ish to this new generation of designers, like the Matteo Blasis, the Louis Trotters, these kind of designers coming through to the height of fashion. So it feels like a changing of the guard. It does feel like there has been a lot of a shuffle. Heidi Ackerman to Tom Ford, you know, Sarah Burton to Givenchy, like all these designers going to all these places. But I think from 2026, everything is going to slow down. And then from there, we're going to see these designers settle and really have long tenures at these brands. So I think it's more, you know, it's more a changing of the guard in that way. It's just a changing of the guard. Oh, good spots in Paris. What for? It depends what for. I mean, I'm no expert on Paris, by the way. There's probably people in this chat that live in Paris that could probably give you a better insight on spots to go to. I have spots that I go to when I go to Paris, but I think a Paris native would be a lot better. Said I'm going to recommend Gumbo Yaya. I'm not recommending Gumbo. That's funny. Gumbo Yaya slaps though, but no, I'm not recommending that. Oh god, that's funny. Hey Io, I know this is not a fashion question, but what do you do for fun besides fashion and tending to your manners and mansions? Well, I'm currently a basketball player, so I play for a basketball team in the first division in England. So I play basketball a lot because I play for the team. So that's one thing that I do. Um, I'm trying to think, what else do I do with my time outside of like playing basketball and like fashion? Um, I'm into sports. I mean, I recently started like a football YouTube channel, but it's kind of not, I'm not going to be consistent on that channel. It's just like fun videos here and there. I do watch like football. Um, I'm into cars. Um, I'm into like films. I watch a lot of films. I go to the cinema a lot. I like to study how films are made. There's a really good Instagram page. What's it? I think it's called like Learn Film. Is it Learn Filmmaking or something like that? But it's so cool because it shows you like all the latest Hollywood films, how they film like their like famous scenes, which I really love. Like it's so cool. Um, like stuff like this is really really cool. I find it really fun, and I like try to experiment with like different filming stuff in my free time. So yeah, I guess that's like most of what I do outside of fashion. Film is my second passion. I'm such a cinephile. Same. And I don't know why I'm just so obsessed with like how certain shots are like filmed. So like this is behind the scenes of Jaws. So obviously they show you like how they got like different scenes and different sets and how things were filmed and how things were created. I just love, but this is not the only channel. Sorry, this is not the only Instagram page like this. There's like, I follow loads and loads and loads of pages like this. There's a YouTuber that I follow who breaks down different cinematographers and what their filming style is and why that matters in certain films and why, what they're trying to channel through certain so yeah, I'm just really into films. So those are other things that I'm into too. What's the first division? I don't know sports. Can you translate, please? Um, so it's the first division, basketball division in England is like the second tier in the country of basketball. So you have the BBL, like British Basketball League, and then you have D1, like first division. So yeah, that's how it goes. But I mean, basketball in England is not that high level. In the BBL, maybe like British Basketball League, maybe there's like players from all over the world there, and they get paid really well. But my league is kind of like semi-pro, so it's yeah. I don't even know what I could compare it to. There's no American equivalent because the level that I play at is nowhere near like the G League or like it's not. I'm trying to. What is it? It's comparable to like a Division 3 in America, like a Division 3 NCAA Division 3 basketball league in America. It's kind of like that level of basket. It's like that same level. I feel like that's the best comparison. You said the BBL. And when I said the BBL, I knew someone was going to say that. That's why immediately when I said BBL, I said the British Basketball League. Yeah, it's like the championship for football. So it's like exactly, it's the second tier of basketball in the country, which for football would be the championship, which is under the Premier League. So exactly that. British basketball so bad, that BBL. Once I was like the BBL, and I was like, oh, let me clarify. British Basketball League. You guys are about to be on my neck about that. I, I knew you guys. I just knew someone was going to mention that. I just knew it. Oh my gosh, that's funny. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for coming to my TED Talk. I had a lot of fun chatting with you guys. Join the Discord. Also, if you want to watch the videos back and you have Spotify, you can follow me on Spotify, link in the description. I sometimes post my streams on Spotify, so you can watch them back on Spotify. And yeah, leave a like for the stream, and I shall be back with another stream